Hey guys, it's Ebony again. I'm not in my restroom. However, I did lock my kids out of my bedroom. So if you hear them in the background, please ignore. Hopefully, it's just laughing and singing versus crying. And sometimes I can't tell the difference between the two. Anyways, I had a hard time with this system, and not because of like, I want to figure out like what I can do with it. I kind of had ideas going in, once I figured out what it could do. um but Twine brought out my millennial MySpace self, so I was literally going through googling like what codes can do what, as I was building my story. And then I had to kind of see which story I wanted to do. And for this particular thing, I kind of did it based on a study guide, over a book that I've read multiple times. um, we usually focus on it because it's written in verse, so it's easy to digest for our kids. It's not as daunting as a regular novel, but it's so impactful and so good. So if you have not read Long Way Down, maybe this will convince you to either read it or implement it into your classroom somehow. Um, so my thought process was doing like a study guide. Now, this is something that I would show my kids after we've already read it, after we've already discussed it, and maybe I want them to start a literary analysis on it. Um, so, realistically, what I did is I put what I already have in my Canvas slides onto this thing. Now, it is missing like different ideas that I had because I didn't think it was going to be conducive to them writing, which is kind of what my end goal is when we're getting to the summative. And one of those ideas was like a quiz, but again, in English, you can't just have like yes or no questions and it work for the content. Um, so this is just an overview. Of course, we start here. We have the plot summary. We talk about symbolism, the characters, important themes. Um, we talk about Jason Reynolds' writing style. And then there are some discussion questions that I would have the kids answer in an essay. So let me show you how it looks. I was actually kind of proud of myself. My husband had to like get me to do this recording because I was like, no, I want to like try to add, music or something. And I know that there's a way to do it. I just didn't get around to it. So this is what I came up with. I actually got the picture on there. So this is Long Way Down. If you have not read this before, it's again written in verse. It talks about or has a lot of like heavy gang violence. This guy is going into an elevator, and as he stops on every floor, someone who has passed away enters the elevator, and he kind of gets like some wisdom from those people who have already passed. So from this, my kids can literally click on the points that we talked about earlier. So plot summary, we talk about his death. This is his brother. The elevator ride, each floor of the level, or each floor that he goes through, and kind of what he gets, or what wisdom he gains from each of these people. And then the ending. Now, this one I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to add this or not because, the goal is to have kids actually read the text. Um, but that's why I decided, like, you know what, this is something that I think would be beneficial, like as a recap for everyone before they get into writing their literary analysis. Um, so it goes just into something super super short. And this is again stuff that I have in my Canvas side, so I have like pictures and we discuss it. We don't just leave this alone, but it's a good review for them, I think. But anyways, and once you get to the I don't know what is subcategory, you can go back to start here, and then it goes back to these other ones. Now, this would be the last one, our discussion questions. And honestly, when I put those in, I think that I would change these questions. Like these would be discussion question, like to talk in class, to lead to the actual prompts that I want them to choose from. Normally, when we are giving them their summatives, we give them 2 prompts so that they have like the power of choice and see which one they want to go further into. So I feel like that could be an additional piece to this. I could probably add another link like, okay, now that we answered this, choose one of these prompts and then start from there. I'm recording these backwards because I want what I use in the generative AI to kind of revert back to this like writing, and I'll show you that in a second. But yeah, if you guys have any feedback, let me know. This was I mean, it's bare bones to me, but I feel like if you implement this as a review, it would be pretty cool. But yeah, if you have any feedback, let me know. I feel like there might be other categories that I could add possibly. And then my themes are kind of bare right now. We usually talk about gangs and gang violence with the cycle of violence. But yeah, I'm super excited about this one because I feel like a lot of people at my school use Long Way Down, and we can probably use this in our classrooms. So if you have any feedback, let me know. Thank you.